Hey guys, Shannon here, and I'm really excited about this video today. We're going to be going over your commonly asked questions when it comes to land. So I thought, why not bring the land experts out here? This is Chase and Tyler with the Reedy Land Co. So they'll be answering some of your common questions regarding all things land. So I'll just jump right into it as far as some of these questions that I get. So the first one is, what are some things to consider when purchasing land for a build? Give us some of your top tips for what to look out for when purchasing.
First thing I would say that Tyler and I encourage our clients to look for is location. Where do they want to be? What are some of the activities they like? Maybe where are they working? So location is going to be paramount. And then I would say, obviously, depending on what they're building, they don't want to overbuild in a certain location where they can't get their money back out of the product later on down the road. I would say when you're looking at a location or we pick a specific track out, some of the features to look into would be access to the property, site prep, what's it going to cost to actually bring the product to market, whether it be clearing the land or is it already in pasture, any kind of soil conditions, is it rocky soil, are we going to face any issues there? I would say topography, and then also looking into the features that most people want. Love a water feature, whether it be a pond or a creek. Yep, what's that now?
The site variables themselves.
Exactly, yep. Site variables themselves on that. So, but that, I would say, you want to add anything to that?
I mean, a water feature is extremely popular. So
Very
if
desirable.
you can find a piece of property with a water feature on it, you're within a 5-mile radius of where you're wanting to be, I'd encourage you to buy that one. It's extremely popular if you ever go to resell. It's just hard to recreate those or cost a lot of money. So location and those specific features.
So the flip side of that is what are some maybe red flags or some concerns? A lot of people are concerned about what is the cost that's going to go into this. So what are some things that maybe on the land would really significantly increase their site prep costs?
I would say topography and trees.
Trees.
Yeah, I feel like when you start looking into clearing land, to clear land properly and really bring a nice finished product, it's expensive to do it right. And then topography, anytime that you're building on steep terrain, then the cost is going to go up on site prep.
Yeah, and with trees, I mean, some people prefer a wooded lot. I personally like a healthy mixture of pasture and woods, but there's parcels that people buy and are ecstatic. There are trees everywhere. They want the privacy, and their site prep cost might not be anywhere close to the site prep cost of somebody that had the intention of wanting to have half of their 5 acres be pasture. They might just be clearing the actual site or the site for the home, and so it's really just relative to what the buyer is looking for. We bring to market variety of those features. So depending on where you are and what that piece of land was used for in the past, kind of change what those costs could be, whether it's pasture or woods, or if there's topography, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It really just depends on what it is you're wanting to do.
Sure. Is there any really value in the timber? You were talking about this a little bit with me yesterday, if you want to touch on that.
Sure. I think especially in the market that we're in here in South Carolina, our timber market's taken a big hit over the last really 3 to 5 years. We've had a lot of local mills closed down. So we've encouraged our clients who've had timber tracts to keep the timber on the property, because kind of what Tyler was hinting on, a lot of folks want the privacy. Sure, it costs money to build on a timber tract clearing, but you can do minimal clearing to build the home and leave the rest for the privacy or the buffer.
Right. All right. And another question, how much land, what's a minimum amount of land for if you wanted to build a 2,400 square foot barndominium or structure on it? What do you want minimally? Sure.
I think there's a lot of variables to that question, but typically I would say a half an acre would be just a general answer to that. It's going to depend on setbacks, landscaping requirements, these kind of things, and depend on the actual builder.
What do you typically see for setbacks? That's another question. It depends obviously where, you got to pull that up, but
25 to 50 feet.
Yeah, it really just depends on the specific site, and if you're part of a homeowners association or if your parcel of land has covenants and restrictions on it. Covenants and restrictions can be a really healthy thing to put on property. Like if we're selling 25 acre pieces that are all next to each other, and it, it might have been a big timber tract at one point, and we've converted it to be home sites. We're going to put restrictions on those sites to make it to where everybody's product that they end up ultimately building is in uniform to protect each other's values. So like Chase said, it varies, but that becomes less of a thing the closer you get to a 5-acre product.
Right.
If your location is, location I would say is absolutely the most important variable in my opinion. And sometimes if you're like, well, I want to be in Fountain Inn, and like you truly want to be in downtown Fountain Inn, you're going to find a piece of land that's smaller most likely. But if you just go a little further out and you can get up to like that 5 to 10 acre product, a lot of those questions become kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about location. So speaking on that, where do you feel, because there's a lot of people coming from out of state, they have no idea as far as like location, where would be like good places to look. Where would you recommend as far as like good land location?
For me personally, I would say anything that is within 30 minutes of downtown Greenville is a hot spot. Typical areas that we would consider rural 5 years ago are no longer considered rural. I mean, anything within 30 minutes of downtown Greenville. And then you've got other hot spots. Somebody might be, moving in town, working at Clemson. Maybe they want to be their, I guess, their beachhead. Clemson, with pretty much the whole upstate. It's hard to go wrong.
Yeah.
So
you cover, where do you like specialize? Oconee County? Is that kind of Pickens?
we specialize in all of Pickens County, Oconee County, and northern Greenville County.
And Oconee is so beautiful.
It is
down there.
We've got a full team at Reedy Land Co. So whether you're looking, a little further south towards Clinton, or want to be in East Spartanburg or Gray Court, all those secondary municipalities that, like Chase said, 5 years ago might not have been so popular. Well, now, like Gray Court, for example, super popular area. 20 years ago, it wasn't so popular.
Right.
The reality is that it's 15 minutes from Simpsonville, and that's what people coming out of town, get to see. And and their perspective is, it's only 15 minutes away from where I work.
Right.
They might be used to traveling an hour and with traffic if it's like Atlanta or Charlotte or something. So those secondary municipalities, they're really bringing some heat right now. Your Woodruffs, Liberties, Pendleton, those areas are very popular at the
How
moment.
about Travelers Rest? I got a lot of people looking in that area.
100%.
Is that challenging?
Travelers Rest, yeah, absolutely. I would say I would almost rival it to downtown Greenville. I feel like we get a ton of interest for that area, and it's land values have skyrocketed in that general vicinity within 15 minutes of downtown TR.
What are you seeing kind of average? I know it's kind of all over the place, but like cost per acre.
It's hard to give a roundabout. I would say anything under 25 an acre, you're doing pretty good in that TR area.
Yeah, I would
I mean,
say
depending
so.
on the
It depends where the size
Right.
of it and where it is. Typically, if I had to just generalize it across the whole upstate, 100 grand plus 100 to 150 grand is probably a 5 acre site.
Okay.
If it's a more popular area like Clemson or truly TR, that might be 200. We just sold 2 parcels that are in like the heart of Woodruff, where all this new development's happening, and we listed them at 200 grand because that's what the owner wanted to do. And it was a little like the high end of the marketplace, but there was data to support it, and they both closed within a month cash like
Wow.
that. So the desire is there. We can, or whomever can, bring that product to marketplace. It's very rare to see, especially your what we would consider home sites, your sub 25 acres, to see hanging around that long on the marketplace at all, really.
Right. Where would you steer people away? I know we talked a little bit like the city limits of Greenville. There's some things like with the trees, you have to, if you want to speak a little bit on that, like if you tear down a tree, you need permission, is that right? And you have to replace
there's
it
variables to that, and I can't speak 100% on all. I haven't, because I've tried to stay away from the regulations of Greenville City.
Right.
But I can just tell you from experience of friends and colleagues that it's a pretty detailed process for development in Greenville.
Down there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, your bigger city, your Greenville, Spartanburg, the closer you are, the more you're going to have to deal with. It's like that for a reason.
Right.
You don't want, those are our hubs. Those are where all of this value stems from. You got to make sure that it's done in a respective, controlled way. But when you take 5 or 10 mile steps out, you can start to express yourself a little more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really just what you're looking for there. All right, and then during the due diligence period, what should people be doing in that period of time?
Typically, with raw land, you're going to see folks that are wanting to ensure a perk test. You're going to see, I would encourage them to get a survey if one hasn't been done recently. Go ahead, start getting estimates on site prep, utilities, verifying all your utilities and seeing essentially what it's going to cost after purchasing the land to start building.
Get things rolling. Yeah, your driveway cost or your road cost.
Sure.
Those are all.
How long of a due diligence period would you recommend to get kind of all these things done?
On that mini farm product, which we categorize a mini farm as, 5 to 25 acres. Sometimes you might have a piece of land that cannot be subdivided further, and it might, be 40 or 50. But any kind of product that is being sold to an end user that is a builder consumer, whether it is an actual builder or an individual building a house, usually a 30-day due diligence and a 15-day close is a norm. So sub 45 days. If you're buying something in a county and the process for getting a perk test has been extended a little bit just because there's so many people trying to do it, most of the time a seller would be reasonable. It might give you another 15 days to get it done or something if need be, but definitely sub 60 days and usually sub 45.
Okay. All right, great. And then I guess the last one is, what are some things to consider when figuring out where to place your home placement on the land? Flat.
Features, topography.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a creek that you want to position yourself close to, pond or a mountain view, I mean, those are going to be my first thoughts. And then obviously topography and cost of site prep, depending on where the area is. So.
There might be a real pretty home site on top of a hill, but it might cost money to get on top of that.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So you just got to kind of weigh all that stuff out.
Well, thank you. And this is really helpful. And so our next video will be going over, we're actually on a soon to come listing of
We're in
yours.
Dacusville right now.
Yeah, so we'll kind of talk on
214
these
acre site.
topics too. And it's a very, it sounds like a very special, unique property with really cool features. So stay tuned for our next video and see you guys soon.